Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to the review of a brand new Jethro Tull album, the Zealot Gene. I don't think any of us thought we'd be getting a brand new Jethro Tull album 55 years into their career. Started back in 1967. Here we are 55 years later, just released on Friday, January 28th of 2022. And this is the first album of all new original material in 23 years. So looking forward to diving into all this. But before we do, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this, with a review of the brand new Jethro Tull Zealot Gene album. So a little bit of history here. As I mentioned, the band formed back in 1967 and they are celebrating their 55th anniversary this year. Initially they started out playing blues, rock, and jazz fusion, but would later incorporate other styles of music such as folk, hard rock, classical, and so forth, thereby forging their own signature progressive rock style that they became known for. Now, the one constant member in all the various different lineups of the band is a vocalist and flute player, Ian Anderson. In 1968, they did release their debut album, This Was, and in 1969, it saw the release of the folk-tinged Stand Up, which is a personal favorite of mine. But by 1971, the band was making another musical shift into a more progressive rock output for the album Aqualung, and then continued with 1972's Thick as a Brick and 1973's Passion Play. And over the course of the band's career, they would continue to do this, making these musical shifts and changes in direction a number of different times into things like contemporary folk rock, also electronic rock. In 1987, though, they shifted back to hard rock for Crest of a Knave, of course, providing the upset Grammy win, stealing Best Heavy Metal Album away from Metallica. So we've all heard of that story, and I think we all very much appreciate Jethro Tull winning a long overdue Grammy, but we would agree that it was probably not the right category for them to be winning in. The last album of all original material, though, was 1999's Jthul.com. 2003's Christmas album was comprised of both new and re-recordings, which is why it does not qualify as the all-new album, which I'm saying the last one being 1999's Jthul.com. So here we are, 23 years later, longest gap between albums, finally getting this one, the Zealot Gene, the one we're going to talk about right now. So 22nd studio album does feature an entirely new lineup of the band. Of course, they've got founding member Ian Anderson on vocals and flute, among other instruments that he plays throughout. Florian Opel, and I apologize if I'm not saying his name right, plays guitar. He's been with the band since 2003, and he's recorded on various Ian Anderson solo projects, although he did leave the recording during this album here, so I believe there is another member that is now playing with the band, or at least when they go out on the road. David Goodyear, again, apologize if I'm not saying these names right, on bass since 2007, and he has recorded with Ian Anderson solo. Then we have John O'Hare on keyboards, also from 2007 on, and Scott Hammond on drums, who toured with the band in 2011, but didn't join up with the band until 2017, and again has recorded with Ian Anderson solo. So I just wanted to point all of that out, that these guys here aren't just brand new, this year or even since the start of this project here, but they have been with Jethro Tull as the band for quite some time. So definitely worthwhile to finally have them recording a studio album in their own right. Now, what's also interesting is that this is only the second album to not feature Martin Barre on guitar. He didn't record the debut album This Was, and not on this one here, played on all the others. So, distinction there at least. This album itself features 12 new tracks, and while not a concept album, it focuses on human traits and emotions and tells the story of those and the struggles and so forth. And the origin of this album does date back to 2017, so before the pandemic, before the lockdown. So it isn't what they, is becoming known as the lockdown album. So many bands wrote and recorded albums during the lockdown. This is something that took on a life before that, and everything just got slowed down due to the COVID and everything. What is immediately noticeable to me about this, though, is that it is such a good sounding album. There's excellent musicianship, great production on it, and even Ian's vocals on it sound really good. And so, while he can't sing as good as he did 50 years ago, and age will take its toll on anyone, certainly somebody who's been performing as long as Ian Anderson has, but he has settled into a nice range that he's comfortable with, and that I think he sounds really good doing, and that comes across on this album. So despite the album being an entirely new lineup of people, to me it does sound like a Jethro Tull album, and it is distinguished from Ian's solo work, and that was my biggest concern here. If he's bringing in a bunch of people that are from his solo tours, things of that nature, how is this going to differentiate? And I think that it does nicely. So let's talk about some of the standout tracks on this. Track number 4, the title track, the Zealot Gene, one of my favorites on this album. It's a perfect mix of acoustic instrumentation with a real fiery electric guitar undertone to this thing, giving it a very eerie feeling. Track number 5, Shoshana Sleeping. This one here, to me, I think is one of the most classic Tull sounding songs on the album, and Ian plays some of my favorite flute parts, at least, on this song. Track number 6, Sad City Sisters, features acoustic guitar, penny whistle, accordion, flute. All of these different instruments have been, interwoven together into another great track. Track 7, Baron Beth, Wild Desert John. Quite a title there. Baron Beth, Wild Desert John. Starts with a classically influenced intro on it, but kicks in to rock during the verses. And again, is one of my favorite songs of the ones that sort of jump between those kind of extremes, from classical to hard rock, all in one track. And then track number 8, The Betrayal of Joshua Kind. Fantastic up-tempo tune with piano on it, and it's got some really cool lead guitar work on it. And I do think this one, if I have to name a totally favorite song out of all of these, I would go with this, track number 8 being my favorite so far out of the 12-track album. But let's take a look at it. So this is the cover, and I wasn't too excited about this when I first saw it, but I have to say, getting it now, the matte packaging and so forth, it is a digipack. I know a lot of you guys don't like them. I don't really like it either. I am feeling this far more, and I do like the whole black and white effect and everything that's going on with it. There's the inside. We got the booklet being held there, and the disc in the middle with half of his face on it, but a cool shot there of him recording. And so let's take a look at this booklet. I do like this. You guys know I love my write-ups. So you get some history about the recording of the album, it dating back to 2017 and so forth, the players on it and stuff like that. We get some cool shots of them recording and locale shots, stuff like that. Another cool one there of Ian Anderson. And then we get right into some more information on the songs themselves, and we get into the lyrics and everything for the remainder of this. If I can get the pages to turn, there you go. And we'll just click through the remainder of that, all the lyric pages, and the backside shot of it. There's some religious undertones and things of that nature that tie into the song structure and whatnot, along with that idea of the human traits and emotions and things of that nature, which is where I think that image is coming from on the backside of it. So bottom line on this album here, I think, to have a brand new album after more than 2 decades is really welcome in and of itself. I know I'm certainly excited for this, but the album itself is more than just a collection of new songs. To me, it's a worthy addition to the Tull legacy. They build on what comes before. They offer up something new. They develop something that this album here in and of itself, I think, stands on its own. And I think that this album is going to appeal to both older fans and newer fans alike. Either way, I think it's a good album. It's got a lot of the characteristics of classic Tull, making for what is a great album overall, in my opinion. So, as I always say, do yourself a favor, check this album out. If you're a fan of Jethro Tull now or past, or you're just looking for some really cool progressive classic rock stuff that's a little interesting because it's got the flute stuff thrown in, this album is worth checking out. We've waited the 23 years for it, so that's got to say a lot right there for it. And the opening credits, Ian Anderson mentions that he doesn't think anybody was waiting for this album, but that is not true. I know I was, at least. All right, so there you go. That is the review of Jethro Tull, the Zealot Gene. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Certainly do check the description for links to other related videos and things of that nature. And if you've enjoyed this video, consider sharing it out on social media. Help spread the word that way. I would greatly appreciate that. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Bye-bye.